Hey everybody, welcome back for another memory keeping plan with me. This time it's for the week of February 19th through the 25th. And I actually filmed some of these plan with me's out of order because I was waiting on this kit to come in. I had another kit pulled for this week, which you would have seen if you watched my February lineup, but I decided to switch to Cinderella Paper's Sunshine and Rain because a lot of things happened this week, so I needed more stickers, and also I felt like this fit with the theme of this week a little bit better. It did rain a lot in both the states that I was in, California and Colorado. And no, I was not originally intending to be in Colorado this week, but just a little bit of a warning. I am going to talk a lot about my kitten getting very sick again and me crying a lot and stressing a lot and trying to get her stable again. So that's just your warning in advance about what's going to go on in this video. This was a really rough week for our little family of me, my husband, and our two cats. Speaking of two cats, there is a box in the upper left-hand corner there that I thought was perfect for this week because it was such a rainy week and a sad week, and we have two cats, and neither of those cats look like my cat, but it's kind of like if you split my cats into two cats because they're calicos, so there's an orange cat and a black cat there. They don't snuggle like that very often. The older cat forces herself on the little cat. So sometimes they snuggle, but the kitten doesn't totally enjoy it because historically the cat has been not so nice to her and now has changed her mind. And the kitten is like, I don't forget that you've been mean to me. So, but they can coexist. Anyway, I'm going to do two extenders, one on Thursday and one on Tuesday because we had vet appointments both these days, and I love the little dog in this kit too. The hospital that I take my kitten to since October has a lot of dogs because sadly they're there for like chemotherapy or surgery or things like that. Like the place where I wait for my kitten is in like the oncology area. So I see a lot of really happy dogs that, only have 3 legs, or they have a big bald spot where they were shaved for radiation, but they're fighting, and so is my kitten. So there we go. This week, part of the reason it was so scary is that it felt like my kitten wasn't fighting anymore. And luckily it got better the week after this, once she got back on medication. But this week it really just felt like we were heading downhill really fast. So I'm going to talk a little bit about kind of the overall scope of this week while I'm putting the base down. I was trying to use these little manicure stickers to cut this, and I need to switch back to my big scissors because those scissors were not sharp enough. But anyway, Monday, my husband and I both had the day off because it was President's Day. Slept really badly the night before because, like I mentioned in the last plan with me, I slept in our second bedroom, our office, with the kitten because I didn't want her to be alone. And we did text her doctor in Colorado, who we were doing a research study with, because of what was going on with Clover's back legs. They weren't entirely working properly. So we sent her a video and asked her about it. And she recommended we go get blood work done at a local vet just to see if that would tell us anything. We also weighed her this day, and she was down half a pound compared to the week before, which was really concerning. She was not eating properly at this point, and it was getting really scary because half a pound for a little cat, of course, is a lot of weight to drop in a week. So we called a new vet because we did just move a month before this, so we had to establish a new vet relationship. We found a place that could see her the next day, so we scheduled an appointment. And then the sad part was, and I talked about this a little bit when I recorded my January 22nd plan with me, I was filming this day the week where we thought we were done with Clover's treatment. So she did 12 weeks of medicine from October to January, and then we entered an observation period to just monitor her for any relapse. And this week it became pretty clear that she was probably having a relapse. So there weren't any things that we could really point to as far as like signs though, because her blood work was mostly normal. It's just physically, like, clearly she wasn't doing well. Tuesday, it was 4 weeks since she took her last pill of that 12-week treatment, but we were back at the vet, so I tried out a new vet this week, and they were really nice and really helpful. Everyone was so nice there, including the patients, which I feel like at my old vet, the people who were bringing their pets in like never wanted to talk, which is fine. But everyone, we were all just there for like routine stuff like vaccines. So it was weird that people weren't very friendly at my old vet. Like I would try to be like, oh, cute dog, cute cat. And like people would just like tune me out. I'm like, okay. But at this vet, like everyone really wanted to chat. Like there was someone there who was taking in their friend's cat for her appointment because their friends had COVID. And so they couldn't take their cat to the appointment. And like this person was just like chatting it up with everybody. And like, they were just really nice. So it was a nice experience. Before I got there, though, I got stuck in this horrible train traffic because where we live right now is basically on one side of the train tracks, and there was a freight train going through the area where I needed to cross to get to the vet. So I was panicking because it's a new vet. I don't really know how they're going to treat me if I show up late, and I was a little bit late, and there's no like parking lot, so you have to park on the street. So yeah, the train like stopped at one point because it was a freight train, and I think there was a crossing. It was a really long train, so I freaked out there. But we did get her blood work done, and that vet was saying, oh, her blood work's normal, but then I was comparing it to her blood work from the month prior, and it did look a little off. So started making plans to go to Colorado the very next day with her Colorado vet. In the sidebar there, I did put in 2 stickers, one from Beneva Creations and one from Itty Bitty Sticker Co. And I just wrote in a few Taylor Swift lyrics, some sad, really sad songs that were definitely on my mind this week. So there's a quote, I'll be summer sun for you forever, because Clover was feeling like really cold this week, like to the touch, like especially her toes, and that was just really scary. And then also I have a quote from Soon You'll Get Better, because it's really hard for me to listen to music lately that's sad, because like I will just kind of start crying, I'm gonna be honest. And that happened a lot this week. Like we'll talk about on Thursday, I was listening to the radio in the rental car, and like certain songs started coming on that I'm like, I just cannot deal with these songs right now. I ended up like crying in the coffee drive-through line, like, and then I come up to order, and the barista's probably like, what is going on with this person? Hold on, my alarm's going off. Sorry about that, but let's just go ahead and get into the day by day. So Monday, I marked that we both had the day off, and then I'm going to mark that I slept badly with a Molly from Itty Bitty Sticker Co. Then I texted the doctor, so that is also from Itty Bitty Sticker Co. And we weighed Clover, so that weigh-in sticker is from Cinderella Paper, and the foiled icon of a cat is from Plannahannah. And then I called the new vet and made an appointment for her to get blood work the next day. It was raining this day, so I had this old sticker from I have no idea where, but it really matched the kit with the yellow and the blue. Also, I did mean to color block this week because I thought it would look cool, and then I just completely blanked when I started putting down glitter headers, and after I had the base down, I'm like, whatever, I guess we'll just do it this way. But let me know what you think. Obviously it's all said and done now, but would this have looked better color blocked, or is it okay because there's technically only 2 colors in the kit? Let me know what you think. I'm still torn. I'm like, I think it looks okay, but I'm kind of regretting not color blocking it. Oh well. Then I filmed my January 22nd plan with me, which, like I mentioned, was supposed to be the last week of treatment for Clover, and I was feeling pretty okay that week. Then Clover peed on the bedroom carpet because her back legs were not working properly to use the litter box, so I have a Beneva Creation sticker for that. Watched a bunch of YouTube this evening, so I have a television from Alicia Craft, and then my husband and I just had a long talk that evening, so I marked that with a Molly from Itty Bitty Sticker Co. I don't really remember what we were talking about, but probably just like trying to encourage each other through this really difficult time. Tuesday, I paid my credit card bill off, and then I marked that it was 4 weeks since Clover's last pill with a sticker from Itty Bitty Sticker Co. If I don't mention where a sticker is from, it's because it's like leftover from an old kit, or like it's not for sale anymore. Then I did a little bit of a workout just to keep myself kind of sane, and I worked a bit. I had to do some lesson planning, so I'm going to mark that with a laptop from Alicia Craft. Then, like I mentioned, I had to take Clover to the vet to get her blood work done, and I got stuck in that horrible train traffic. At one point, because the train was just going and going and going, and we were all backed up for like 20 minutes, I left like half an hour early to go to an appointment that was maybe supposed to be like a 7-minute drive from my house. And then I got there like 40 minutes after leaving my house. I'm pretty sure. I don't remember exactly, but I think that's what happened. And I had read Yelp reviews of this place, and people were complaining that like they canceled your appointment if you were late. And I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. And then of course I'm late, and luckily they didn't cancel my appointment, but I was really, really stressed, especially because like I have a sick cat, right, who's having neurological problems. So, getting stuck at an intersection where the train is crossing and crossing and crossing and crossing, and then suddenly the train stops and you're like, crud. So at that point I did what a lot of people were doing, which was turn around. And luckily in Sacramento, or at least the part where I'm in, like all the streets are basically a grid system, so you can find your way around. Like a lot of streets are numbered or lettered, so if you don't, and my phone wasn't working, that was the other thing, so I couldn't re-navigate to find new directions, so I was panicking hardcore. But we made it to the vet and got Clover's blood work done. So these next two stickers are both from Itty Bitty Sticker Co. You can probably tell. And that was really nice. The techs were really nice. The receptionist was really nice. The people waiting in the tiny waiting room with me were both really nice. One was there with the cat. Another person had a new puppy who was very adorable. And they were like, her blood work seems normal, because I opted to do the test where we could get results right away, which was a new thing for me. I'm glad that I picked a vet where that was possible, so that we could just get results right away to look at her what are called globulins, which, if you don't know, is kind of indicative of whether or not they have an infection, basically. So all that was good, but I was just skeptical because my kitten is acting sick at this point. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to talk to her Colorado doctor. It was raining when I got out of that appointment, which I did not expect, so I did not bring an umbrella. So poor Clover. She was in her carrier, so she mostly got shielded, but like I'm like running back to the car, getting soaking wet. Then I was comparing her blood work to her blood work from the month prior, and her globulins were just like the slightest bit elevated. So we coordinated with her vet in Colorado, and I booked another last minute trip to Colorado, which was extremely expensive, but I'm willing to do so much for this kitten at this point. So I booked my flight and my hotel and my rental car at the very last minute this evening. It was like really hitting me that we were going to potentially start this whole process over, and I had to pack mostly stuff for Clover, because like I've said before, I don't really care if I have like exactly the stuff I need for myself when I go on these trips. It's like mostly to make sure that we have stuff for Clover. So that packing sticker was from Cinderella Paper. And then I tried to calm down before the next day by watching Great British Bake Off, the 2019 season. Wednesday, I had an anxious cry in the morning because I was stressed about traveling, was stressed about Clover, not eating still, all that stuff. She also all she wanted to do was just sit on my lap, which, compared to now that she's feeling better and is on steroids, she almost never wants to sit on my lap. She still comes up to me and hangs out, but like, she was very cuddly this week, but it was bad because like, that's all she wanted to do was sleep on my lap, and which meant that she wasn't doing well. My husband drove us to the airport, so I have a taxi sticker from the sticker party. I got Pete's coffee and pizza at the airport, and I did a tiny bit of work. I brought my laptop on this trip, and the next time I went, I didn't bring my laptop because I literally only graded like one paper and then checked emails because I was just so preoccupied. But that laptop's from Alicia Craft, and then I have this paw passport sticker from the sticker party, which I find really cute, and I use that to mark our flights this week. Then I got to the airport, went over to Avis, and they were so bad at communicating between each other that like at one point I was waiting out in the dark in Colorado. It was cold. Clover was like thrashing around in her carrier because she was cold. And like I went to the spot where they told me my car was supposed to be parked and it wasn't there. So then I had to go back inside and be like, where's my car? And like totally communicated the wrong spot. And then the people in the other part of the lot were not being helpful. They're like, you have to go all the way back over here. So I was pretty crabby. So I used a Molly is Crabby from Itty Bitty Sticker Co. to mark that I do not want to deal with Avis at the Denver airport anymore. Shout out to them. Then I put in a What in the World munchkin from Once More with Love, because on the drive to my hotel, this guy was like trying to run me off the road, basically. He was having a lot of road rage. because I was in the left lane and I was trying to get over, but the person in front of me in the left lane was going like below the speed limit. But I was trying to get over into the right lane to get out of the way. But this other guy who was like using the right lane as the fast lane, because there were only 2 lanes on this highway, kept like flashing his lights at me and harassing me. Even after he was passing me and like I was out of the way, he just kept yelling at me. And at first I thought there was something wrong with my car, but then I realized he was just being a dick. Sorry for my language, but like he was just mad at me when it wasn't even my fault that he couldn't get in the fast lane. It was the person in front of me, but he chose to single out me instead. So that was really scary because I was by myself and I was already stressed. And I'm just like, what a jerk. So that was not fun. Then I checked into the La Quinta Inn. Don't recommend it. It was a little bit cheaper, but the little bit of money I saved was not worth it. We'll get into that the next day. Then I went to McDonald's because it was one of the few things still open at this point, that McDonald's stickers from Bella Planella. And I wrote in that there was a funny employee because I tried to order hot chocolate because in California you can get hot chocolate at McDonald's, but this employee was like, we don't have hot chocolate. And then I get to the window and I apologize because I'm like, sorry, like I, for some reason, thought you would have hot chocolate. And he's like, oh no, you're fine. You're better than this guy who comes through all the time and like asks us if we have real cheese on the hamburgers. And I'm like, yeah, he has high standards for McDonald's. He's like, yeah. And then I forget what he said that he like one day told the guy who was kind of a jerk to the McDonald's employees, but it was funny. I can't remember what he said, but this guy was maybe 19 at the oldest, and he was a hoot. So anyway, I got my Happy Meal, and then I went back to the hotel and watched a bunch of Last Week Tonight on YouTube to try to go to sleep. The next morning, I got woken up really early because the walls were paper thin, and my neighbor was watching something very adult content related very loudly, and I was uncomfy. That's all I'm going to say about that. But yeah, so I ended up being very tired because he was doing that at like 5 in the morning. Ew. Checked out of the hotel, had an anxious cry because I was just so worried about Clover and the stress of restarting treatment potentially. And before her appointment, I did go to the Human Bean. And like I mentioned, I was definitely crying because that Good Riddance song by Green Day came on the radio, and that made me start crying. And then Fight Song by Rachel Platten came on, and I'm like, I have to turn this off. I just turned off the radio. I'm like, I cannot deal with this right now because all of these songs are just making me think about my poor kitten. And now I can kind of laugh about it because we're like a month and a half later, but at this point, it was not funny. It was also raining this day, and then I took Clover to the vet hospital for her appointment. This was a very last minute appointment, so I was waiting there for quite a while, for like 3 hours. There was another cat there who needed like a procedure or something, so it took a while for my doctor to see Clover, but she did eventually, and I really appreciate that. I did get a little bit of work done. Don't remember what I possibly did, but then I put in a Dr. Molly at the end of Thursday to mark that we're doing this. We're starting again. So this time we started with even more medications. So her antiviral, which she had taken before, but then because she's having neurological problems, the doctor also put her on an anticonvulsant, which was the scariest part because she's like, if she starts having seizures, that usually means we end up having to euthanize. And I'm like, so that one really hit. And then she also gave me a steroid just because it could help with this disease. So got a bunch more drugs than we did the past time. Oh, and also she's for real on the immunostimulant this time that this doctor is studying. So I guess she was in the placebo group before. She told me that. And she's like, this time we're going to put her on the real stuff. So hopefully that helps. But that's what this research study is looking at, is that particular drug. Then I dropped the car back off at Avis. That's stickers from Plan With Me stickers. I cried a lot on the flight home. I was in the middle seat, and luckily it was a nighttime flight and it was dark and people couldn't see the tears streaming down my face. But the reality of everything was just really hitting me. And then I marked that we restarted Clover's medication this evening. So not only the antiviral, but the anticonvulsant and the steroid. And at this point, we also put her back on an appetite stimulant because she was like refusing to eat, which was really scary because that can, with cats, that they can go into liver failure pretty quickly if they don't eat. Plus, she's on a bunch of medication that could affect her liver. So it was just really stressful trying to get her to eat. Friday, I went to work and taught my classes, and then my husband was still working fully from the office at this point. So when I came home, Clover had been left alone for like 4 hours. She did eat her food while I was gone, so that was encouraging. And then I marked on Friday that we gave her her first dose of her immunostimulant. And then I was watching more of 2019 Great British Bake Off because that is my comfort rewatch season. And then I slept in the office with Clover that evening, so that's stickers from Beneva Creations. Saturday was basically a catch-up day and a being frustrated day, so I did a bunch of unemployment certifications that were due. My husband made waffles, and then I just wrote in everything is awful because I was really crabby and stressed, and we were trying to get Clover to eat and trying to give her all this medication, and most of the medications were liquid medications, and she hates those with an undying passion. And then we kind of had a meltdown this evening because one of the drugs, the steroid, she needs to take with food, and she wouldn't eat. And it was just so scary and upsetting. And it was just, I was having a meltdown about it. I'm just going to be honest. That's just how things were going this day. It was a terrible, no good, awful day. And I rounded out Saturday evening just by watching a bunch of random YouTube because what the hell? Is your toe okay? Clover's like chewing on her foot because it's itchy. Sunday, I marked that Clover would eat broth off of my fingers, which kind of like sparked a light bulb in my mind about what I could do next. So we figured that out the rest of the day. I did our annual budget. And then I decided to go to PetSmart and get a bunch of moose food. So the canned food is typically pate if you don't have a cat or if you don't feed wet food. And she was sick of that stuff. She's like, I'm not eating it. So I looked it up. I'm like, what's the closest food to churro, which is a liquid cat treat? And people were like, try moose. So I went to PetSmart. I went to the nice PetSmart that's like 20 minutes away from my house to make sure that they actually had it. And I got tiki cat kitten moose. And that was the trick. That was the ticket. It smells disgusting, but it is a texture that the kitten will eat. So got a bunch of that to try it out. Got a bunch of different flavors, figured out which flavor she liked best, went with that. My husband was making beignets this day because he is part of a D&D group where they're doing a campaign that's themed in New Orleans. So he made beignets for people and shared some with me, and then brought home gumbo that somebody else made, which was tasty, tasty. And then Clover seemed more alert. She was kind of up and about this day, but I was having to feed her that moose by hand. Like I was hand feeding my kitten for like a week and a half. I would basically like pick up the moose, put it on my finger, and just, she wouldn't eat off her plate. She was refusing to do that. So I had to keep, it was really gross. It felt gross. It smelled gross, but we had to do what we had to do. So I was feeding her by hand with just putting a little bit of mousse on my finger at a time until the plate was gone. It took a very long time, but she is back to eating normally now, so that's good. So I used a paw print sticker from Itty Bitty Sticker Co. And then I used a Beneva Creations cat to mark that she was more alert and she was kind of up and about this day. I was watching a bunch of John Mulaney on Netflix because, again, we're with the comfort rewatches right now. And then Nathan did get bit by Clover this evening when we were doing one of her liquid medications because, like I said, she really hates it and we hadn't figured out a good way to like restrain her. So he got bit pretty bad this evening. Luckily, nothing came of that, but it was pretty much, he was in pain for a few days because of how deep she bit, but it didn't get infected or anything, so that's good. And then I slept in the office this evening with Clover. So those two stickers at the end of Sunday are from Beneva Creations. For my habit trackers in the sidebar, I did putting the dishes away, which only happened one day this week, and then Clover's medications, which started Thursday and have continued every day since then. So that is this week. Not a good week, but at least I had a really cute kit, a really cute themed kit with cats and dogs and rain because that was my whole week. It was rainy here in California. It was rainy on Thursday in Colorado, and I saw lots of cats and dogs this week and was taking care of my kitten. So really rough week. Things do improve the next week, but this was just like trying to get Clover to eat and trying to get her on track and trying to figure out if she was even having a relapse by putting her back on her meds and seeing what would work. So thanks so much for listening. I hope your week was better than the one that you just heard about here, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.